How are y'all today? Happy Thursday. I actually know what day it is today. Um, Today I'm super excited. So we do have a lot of people, and unfortunately, Kate's not going to be able to join us today because apparently there's a little toddler meltdown going on, or toddler action going on. But we are going to be talking about birth control and how to get off of it. And we get a lot of requests, from people to help for help with this. So I'm super excited that we are going to have Rya with us today. Sorry, for some reason we're just going to be down here, I guess. Here we go. She should be here any second. There we go. Awesome. Hi. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Long time no see.
I
How are
know.
things going?
They're good. I know. I
Oh,
wish we'd be like in person doing this because it would be so much fun.
oh, I know. Well, I'm in Minnesota, and did Kate text you?
No.
Yeah, I'm up here I'm up here for another little bit, but yeah, she's having a toddler meltdown at the moment, so it's
Oh,
you and me for now until
yay.
she gets here. I love
That's
when she
fine.
like gives me the last minute. Oh my gosh, Mom, you got to do it. It's like I'm so awkward. So it's like
No.
whatever.
We'll all be together, so it's
There
totally
you go.
fine.
There you go. No, I said we're super excited to talk about this because we get so many requests from people about, how do I get off of birth control? How do I do this? What's going on? How does this affect, my fertility? How does this affect, all of the phases that happen after that? And so, but I'm going to just jump right in, and we'll let Kate join if as soon as she gets here. But if you want to talk a little bit about what you do, and kind of a little bit, an intro into the topic today, that'd be great.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Rya. For those who don't know me, who've never seen my face before, I am a nutritional therapy practitioner and a functional hormone specialist. And so I look at things from the foundations, right? So I look at our six foundations essentially, but blood sugar, digestion, minerals, fatty acids, hydration, all the things. We look at it from a foundational perspective to see like, all right, where are the imbalances? What's going on? Let's get to the root of the issue. And then on top of that, the fertility hormonal stuff of, okay, well, you're having this symptom, but what's really causing that underneath? And I'm sorry because, of course, the lawn people just decided that they were going to.
It's
So
okay.
if you happen to hear them in the background, I apologize to
No
anyone
worries.
listening to hearing that. But yeah, so from a foundational perspective, because so often what's presenting as a symptom may not necessarily be like what the root issue that's really going on is. So yeah.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's so true, right? I think it's such a miss in conventional medicine, and it's something that they're not. It's like I try to give grace to say it's not that your conventional practitioner doesn't want to help you. It's that they were never given the education or the tools to even understand how to do this. What they're taught is very superficial from a find out the reason. It's more symptom management.
Yeah.
And so, and I think, that both of us want to get away from symptom management and really figure out what's going on so that we can correct this. And then you have the tools to go forward, and you're not going to deal with this anymore.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we both have come from that conventional medicine side of things. And so seeing that side and then learning all the things that we've learned in this other side of like, okay, this isn't really how it should be. And we need more education, and we need to learn like this pill that I'm going to give you is going to cause these symptoms. It's not going to necessarily take care of what's really going on because what's presenting itself might not really be the issue, you
right.
know? So I think for both of us, like getting to that root of like, okay, what's really going on? And then how are we going to, fix that imbalance or, you know, whatever.
Yeah, no, it's true. It is. And it's like, and I think, yeah, a lot of us that are now in this functional space, it's born out of frustration of dealing with people and knowing that there's something more and there, but I'm restricted by, you know, by the system that I'm operating in. And so it's just, I mean, it's freeing for us as practitioners to be able to do so much more for our clients than we ever could, you know, before. And I just think, you know, I don't know, it's just, it allows us to do what our purpose is. The reason we're here is to help people. And it really now it's open to, we actually get to help people. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. I know, it's nice to not feel like a drug pusher. So I'm very happy. I'm very happy now. But so tell us a little bit more about like the hormone piece that you do, and you know, and then we can kind of, you know, work our way into talking about the birth control side of things and coming off of that, because there's just there's so many negative things that happens to a woman's body when they're you know, basically cutting off communication.
Yeah.
You know, so.
So the same thing with hormonal, when you're looking at what symptoms you're having, right? Like where are the imbalances in your hormones? Is it being driven from a blood sugar dysregulation system? Are we not producing enough estrogen? Is our progesterone too low? Maybe we're not producing enough of either, but our estrogen is higher, so it's showing this symptom in this manifestation type thing. So I can utilize a Dutch test, just more so to look at and see, okay, where is a little bit of dysregulation going on, and how, from a not a diagnosis perspective, but from a, okay, where is the imbalance and what do we need to kind of adjust? So much of hormone imbalances lead back to gut and blood sugar dysregulation. And so kind of taking that one step further into hormonal birth control in general, right? Like somebody said to me one time, hormonal birth control is almost as if your doctor has put you on an antibiotic for long term. So think about what an antibiotic can do in your gut, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that it can cause. And now you're on something that you take every single day that's continually disrupting your gut, which leads to so many other imbalances and dysfunctions. And I could go down a rabbit hole about that, but that's just kind of like the beginning of hormonal birth control and where it wreaks havoc initially on your system. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I know. It's interesting because as Kate likes to say that, you know, they give out birth control like Skittles. But it's interesting that instead of educating women about like their actually what's happening during a cycle, when, you know, learning your own cycle and where you're fertile, I mean, like, it's so funny to me. And, you know, because for years and years since birth control pills kind of came out, you know, I guess in the 70s, it was always 99.9% effective. But what they neglect to tell you is, you know, but you have to take it at the exact same day or at the exact same time every single day. If you miss a day, you're screwed. You're going to start over. And now now you've opened up your window where you can get pregnant, which is why so many people get pregnant on the pill anyway. And I'm just speaking about the pill alone. Forget about other things that have hormonal, you know, implants and shots and all that. But so now you're, and women don't, you know, it's like, so then if you take natural planning and you actually learn what your body's doing, you know, all its signs, you know, all its symptoms, it's actually 99% effective without worrying about, I missed a day and I have to start over.
But like, what are you actually putting into your body?
Oh,
right?
no. Yeah.
You know, like
No.
nothing in a pill I mean, it's all synthetic, right? So your body gets so confused because it's like, well, I was creating all these hormones and now like there's this stuff that's competing with my body's hormone production and it's taking over. And like, what is really happening? And so your body gets so confused, and then it just kind of stops doing what it's supposed to do because this other synthetic stuff has taken over. And then you're taking it, you know, maybe you went on it for family planning, or maybe you went on it because you had acne, or you had heavy periods, or you had cramping, or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, I guarantee that there are very, very, very slim chance that that provider went over every single side effect, every single thing that that birth control could do in your body, rather than any education, you know. And I think that's what everything stems back to, is education, right? And
Yep.
the more you know, the more you learn, the more better you can do. And just like you said, family planning, I mean, I've talked to so many women, and even myself included, like, who don't know, I mean, I know, but that didn't know that you had 4 phases of your cycle, right? Because you just learn about, oh, I get my period, I bleed, and then that's it. But
I know.
there, every other day leading up to it and every day after, you know, there's so much we can be doing to support our body during each phase. And the amount of time that you actually can get pregnant, the number of days is so slim that if we just were taught, right? Like if we were just educated, or we just, that's what we learned. And, you know, instead of, oh, here's a condom and take birth control, right? Like that's how you prevent babies.
Yep. I know. I think it's funny that I think the thing that when we talk to clients, the thing that surprises them the most is that you're not getting a period. Like this is not what you are experiencing when you are on any kind of synthetic birth control, whether it's, you know, a depot shot, an implant, an IUD with hormones, a birth control pill. It doesn't matter. It's like your body is not experiencing a normal cycle. You haven't had a period for however long you've been on this, you know, even though you've bled, it is not the same thing. And people are like, women are just like, why does no one tell us this? It's sad, you know, because there's so much tied, overall health tied to our cycles, that, you know, and what is occurring in our body through those different, you know, through the 4 phases that we have. And it's crazy to me that no one ever tells us any of that.
Yeah.
You know, any of it. And it's like sometimes there, you know, people get very angry. It's like, well, why was I never told this? Why did my doctor ever mention this? And it's like, because again, it comes back to education. It's not a priority. It's not something that they talk about, you know? So I don't know, you know, but yeah, so it is interesting. And I think that there's a whole lot of education that can happen, you know, besides, but then you have people that are coming and they're experiencing certain symptoms when you kind of go, okay, well, you know, here's what we need to do. And it's a process. It's like coming off of any drug. It doesn't matter what you're taking chronically. For people to just go cold turkey on, I think on pretty much anything, is not, it can be very detrimental to your overall health, you know?
Yeah.
So in your practice, are you helping women like go from, because I know when we talked, you're very interested in the fertility side of things, correct? Right?
I mean, all of it, right? And
it's all tied together. It's all, I mean, you know, you can't get pregnant if nothing else is working.
Yeah.
But yeah, but just so do you have a lot of people that come to you and they're on some sort of synthetic birth control and that you're helping them transition to a more natural method, or, you know, at least that transition period of how does somebody start that process?
Yeah, absolutely. I have people who have come to me because they're on birth control and they are having symptoms and they're like, but I've been on it for this many years and now all of a sudden I'm experiencing headaches or migraines, or I'm married and I want to have a child, and what do I do because I've been on birth control for 17 years, or like I just am starting to realize how detrimental it is in my health. Like, how do I get off of it? So kind of from all aspects of, or even like, I don't want to go on birth control, but I don't want to get pregnant. So how do I do that? I've had clients also come to me for nutritional things that we've worked through and kind of built their, reserves, I guess you could say, or kind of like not healed, but gotten them to a point where they can then transition off of birth control safely and effectively and not have such horrible after symptoms from it. But part of it is, why did you go on the birth control to begin with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, are you on birth control because you were experiencing horrible acne, or you were experiencing heavy bleeding, or you were experiencing like painful, debilitating cramping and that sort of thing? Or are you on it just because you didn't want to get pregnant, right? So when you start to transition off of it, if you were on it for a symptom and you cut that out cold turkey, you can sometimes see that symptom come back tenfold because you've never really addressed the underlying root issue about what's going on. And so when I talk to people about coming off hormonal birth control, it's like, okay, let's do an assessment first and kind of see where we're imbalanced, right? See where some dysfunction is going on. People say you can come off it cold turkey, but that's not what I like to do in my practice. I like to prepare you for at least 2 months. While I don't love that you're continuing to be on it for a period of time, I think you do need to set your body up for success, right? And so we look at it foundationally, like, okay, how is our blood sugar regulation? Are we having those spikes and crashes? Are we getting enough fatty acids? What are our adrenals looking like? Are we already at the tip of that stress bucket and you've been adapting and one more thing's going to knock you over the edge? Or do we have a pretty good routine of mindfulness, movement, stress management, those sort of things? What does your mindfulness practice look like, right? Are you maybe seeing a therapist? Are you seeing a chiropractor? Are you getting your mind-body connection kind of all back into gear? Because it's not just symptoms, right? It's how is everything kind of playing in together. What do your minerals look like? Because without minerals, you can't create hormones. So if you're depleted, which hormonal birth control often does, your magnesium, your vitamin C, your selenium, those sorts of things, like we gotta ramp that up before we're gonna take you off anything. Because if you don't have anything to create hormones and to regulate your blood sugar, your digestion too, like what's that look like? You've been on birth control. We talked about it being like an antibiotic wreaking havoc on your gut. Are you even absorbing anything that you're eating? What does your nutrition look like? So I kind of take it foundationally, look back at like what are we working with right now, and how can we support those systems so that as we start to take you off of it, you're not reverting completely back to that increased acne that or those horrible heavy bleeds, or what that extreme inflammation in your system and overdrive, your liver is doing so much work. So like, is that pathway open? Are you going to be able to detox what you need to get that stuff out? Or do we need to work on some of that before we work on getting off of birth control? So those are kind of like the foundational points that I look at before I'm like, yeah, hey, just get off it. You'll be fine. Everything's
Oh, I
going to
know.
be, you know?
Yeah, no, and it's good to, I mean, you know, we run into this too with people that want to get off of antidepressants, for example. And it's like, it's a process. And I'm appalled when I hear someone, you know, another practitioner say, oh, it's not that big a deal. You can just stop that. And it's like, no, you can't, because you've basically altered communication in your body. And so now, you know, you're going to go from, you know, 60 to 0, and your body is going to freak out. I mean, it's going to freak out, and it's going to freak out in ways that you don't even realize. And, you know, while birth control, you know, one of the endpoints of cold turkey is not death, thankfully, but on the antidepressant side, it can be. I mean, it can be a very serious, you know, very serious event. And so, you know, having that foundation, having that ability where your body has all of the things it needs to now take back over that communication, because it's been lazy. It's just been sitting there not doing what it's doing, you know? And like you say, your pathways have been blocked. Possibly your digestion and absorption have been interrupted, because, you know, it's a constant stress, internal stress on your body to have these synthetics, you know, trying to take over communication for what's supposed to naturally happen. So it's fascinating that, you know, people would say, oh no, it's not that big a deal, go right ahead and, you know, do that. And I think it's very important. And I think that women need to understand that, you know, when they come to a functional practitioner, a person that looks at it from through a different lens, we're not saying we want to work with you for 2 or 3 months because we want to make more money. It's really, the process is, what we want is for you to have a successful, you know, we want you to come off of it successfully. We want you to have the goal you want, whether it was, I don't want those painful periods anymore, I don't want the acne, I want a baby, whatever it happens to be, we want you successful. And without that foundation, it ain't going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So it's so, and it's like helping people understand that that's a reality, you know. And I know you're hearing over here from Dr. Google, or maybe even your own doctor, that you can do this, but, you know, truly for you to, you know, to be healthy through the process, you really do have to look at some of those things that are happening.
And maybe you have come on and off birth control and you haven't experienced any horrible negative side effects externally, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what does that actually look like internally?
Yep.
Right? So you've come off, you felt fine, but where are your hormonal balances? Oh, you know, now I'm experiencing headaches. It's just this random thing that, like, you know, may happen, but was that really a correlation, or is it now just something else that's going on? You know, I think so much of it is what we look like on the outside and what we might be visually seeing or visually experiencing. Or maybe you're not feeling bloated, or you're not feeling gassy, or you're not feeling like you've got any digestive issues because you're not feeling that symptom because your body has adapted.
Mm-hmm.
But when you take a look at the foundations, it's like, yeah, you really do have some inflammation that's causing disrupted absorption, you know, GI disturbances, things like that. And yeah, your adrenals, I mean, your stress bucket might only be half full, but you're still dumping into that stress bucket. And what's gonna maybe tip it over the edge might be something really small, but you're still building it up. So I think that's a huge piece too, is, you know, just because you're not necessarily, you come off and you're like, oh, I'm fine, I'm great, everything's wonderful, I feel good, but then a tiny little thing happens that adds, you know, like you've adapted, but what's really going on underneath?
Right. Right. And especially I think for people that where their goal is after being on birth control for a time, and now their goal is fertility. Like, I want to have a child now. I mean, so super important. And so not only are you dealing with, I need to prepare my body to come off of the synthetic communication that it had, I also need to prep it to be able to sustain a pregnancy. I mean, it's twofold. And so it's not a minute. Like, it takes a little bit of time to do
Yeah.
that.
And I think so often, and I just saw this recently and it broke my heart, but you get off, you try for a couple months, things aren't working, right? And you automatically go to, something's wrong, let me go straight to IVF, right? You know, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as women, we feel like there is this time constraint, right? Like, we've got this so much pressure from society. If you're not pregnant by this age now, I mean, myself included, you are going to have a geriatric pregnancy and you're going to have these additional tests done and all this stuff. And it's scary, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're conventionally taught is, oh, I gotta go freeze my eggs, I gotta go get IVF, I gotta do all this stuff. But if we could take a look at it, there are so many small things that make such a huge impact on our hormones, on our body, on our digestion, on our blood sugar regulation, that, okay, give me 3 more months and maybe you'd get pregnant naturally.
Right.
You know, but because there are these external pressures or internal pressures, or, we're just taught IVF is a great option. People go down that pathway. And
Well, and I think we're, again, the conventionally trained, or the conventional model, we're pushed to that direction because it's the only in their box. They don't have another tool to offer. And so, it's like getting the word out that there are other tools available. And they don't, and I mean, we could spend a whole nother 45 minutes on what IVF does to a person, but there are options, and it's can be frustrating when there are, and you just want to tell everybody, but you're right, we have a pressure, and I think internal and external as women, that it's like, well, when I want to get pregnant, now's the time, and if it's not happening quick, I want to go and do this. And then there's no education on the other side to say there may be reasons why this isn't happening beyond. And I mean, we have seen so many people, they're getting IVF without any on paper reason for doing that, other than I've been trying for a couple of months and I'm not pregnant. And it's like, to me, there's probably something super, I want to say simple, but it takes some time to figure out what that is, but a very easy fix that can open up so much proper communication, and just that ability for your body to go, oh yeah, now I'm ready, I can get pregnant. And it just doesn't seem to happen as frequently as I would like to see, that's for sure. But you're just automatically pushed down that road.
Part of that too is like time, right? Things don't just happen, and it's work, and it's hard work. It's not easy, right? Have to be at a place where you are willing to do the work and to put in the effort and to make changes. And what I have found is, so oftentimes people come and they're like, yeah, I'm ready to do this, like I'm all in, and then you get into it and it's like, oh, that's a challenge. Like I actually have to make changes, and I actually have to like learn, and I actually have to do things differently, and then it's like, oh, this is too much. Let me go down the path of least resistance almost, right? And so, and that time crunch, right? Like, it's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. And we are in a society right now that's that instant gratification, and it's, oh, I need this pill now because it's going to stop things immediately, or it's going to stop my symptoms now, or it's going to do this like quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you have shaped your body for how many years? You're how old? Like, trauma, stress, imbalances, like all of that plays into everything in your system. And so how do we work with all of that? It's not going to just happen overnight. And I think that's one of the biggest things, is it's that frustration of, I have to do work, it's not going to be easy, and I have to make change, and change is hard, you know? And so, yeah.
Yeah, it is. And you're right. But I think, you know, again, you know, if we can get in front of people and say, look, you know, we offer you a different path, and one that isn't it's actually going to correct all of these issues, so that, you know, the next time you're looking at something or just going through your life, you're going to have tools to know, you're going to recognize and understand what's happening. You're going to have tools to know how to correct that. And you're not going to need the Band-Aids anymore. It's just, you know, and those Band-Aids have detrimental side effects that come along with them. Every single one of them, doesn't matter what it is. If you're talking about a synthetic option, our bodies will deal with it, but they don't long term. It disrupts the whole system, you know. And so it's why, you know, not so much for birth control, but other types of medications, why you go and you try something, it works for a minute, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, that's not working anymore, I need more, or I need a different one, or I need to do, you know, an addition or whatever. That's the reason, because our body will go, oh wow, cool, and then it'll be like, oh well, that's not really what's supposed to be going on. So, you know, and so it's again, it's education, so people understand that it does take time, and it does take effort, and it does take work, but what your result is, just like with anything in life, if you put the effort in, you usually get a reward, and that reward is longevity and optimal health and understanding your body more, so you can correct those things, you know, like midstream, instead of waiting until it's a problem.
Right.
So
Like,
I don't know.
I'm gonna now, or I'm going to work on it and it's going to be fixed now, versus I'm going to work on it and it's going to be corrected for long term, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
yeah. Big difference.
Yeah.
So tell us how do we get a hold of you, and we'll put it all in the notes so everybody knows, as people watch it going forward too, you know, so that people know how they can contact you. And would you like, what would you say is your favorite client to get? Like, you know, who's the person you really want to, like, make sure you come see me because I love doing this for you?
Oh gosh, I mean,
I know all of it. I know that, but
I would say, I think my passions are digestive issues and family planning, or, you know, coming off birth control into that family planning, for fertility issue type situation. Those are kind of like my passions, my, you know, knowledge. I mean, ultimately, it all stems back to the foundational support. But so I accept anyone who's looking to change their life, from a foundational perspective. How you can find me, my Instagram, you can go to my website, ryageorge.com. You can send me a DM, you can send me an email. On my website, I have a subscribe where you just enter your name and your email, and it gives you my top 3 tips for a healthy, starting your health journey, your wellness journey. So you can get those for free, essentially. Yeah, that's how you can find me.
Awesome. Yeah. And we'll make sure that that's all there so that we can, you know, so that people can figure out how to find you. And that sounds wonderful, to get that. So yeah, super cool. I'm bummed that Kate couldn't come today. She's so much better at this than me. But clearly, you know, toddlers rule the roost. There's, you know, I don't think there's any other time in your life where your kids are absolutely they're the queen and king of the world, and whatever they need is your first priority always. So, but I'm sorry she couldn't join us today. But thank you so much for coming on today. Anything closing? Anything you'd like to add before we close up that you can think? Okay.
I think, yeah, support your body and learn. Education is so important, and you know, what we know today is going to be completely different from what we know tomorrow and 5 years down the line, and just constantly learning and asking the questions. And even if it's just something you've never heard of before, you know, find people who know things about it and educate yourself.
Awesome. Awesome. Good words, words of wisdom. Well, thanks again for taking the time to chat with us today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll see you soon. When I'm back. Well, definitely I'll have to go grab lunch or something.
I'm excited.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.